Did you miss me? You know the drill by now. We're overanalyzing this niche, low-budget movie called Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Of course, another good one for you today. Great movie, especially with fan favorite character Bem. Alright, let's point out these details no one ever asked for. As the Warner Bros. Logo is popping up, listen closely, and you can hear a dog barking in the background. This is most likely in reference to Sirius being around the block, or it also could be Aunt Marge's dog Ripper. Now that I talk about it, this movie and the last movie both open up with slowly zooming in on Harry's bedroom at night. As mentioned in the last video, underage wizards aren't allowed to do magic outside of school, or else the ministry will punish them through what's called the trace. This right here is in clear violation of that law and should be punishable. In the corner, you can see Bertie Bott's every flavor bean on the shelf. Those were the candies Dumbledore was eating in the first movie. In the back of the room, we also see Harry's jacket, which he wears during the repeat day at the end of the film. This poster behind Harry's bed reads Filibuster. This is in reference to the store in Diagon Alley called Filibuster's Fireworks. That's also why the poster is so colorful.
Uncle Vernon, I need you to sign this form.
The carpet in Privet Drive has changed since the last film, and yes, we are going there. Comparing this one to the last one. There's also a stripe in the wallpaper that wasn't there in the last film as well. Look at this stripe down the middle of the wallpaper. It was not there previously. As mentioned before, just to let you know, Aunt Marge's dog's name is Ripper. He is one of 12 dogs that Aunt Marge owns.
Usually just a fry-up for me, what with 12 dogs. Where did you send the boy, Vernon?
St. Brutus's. It's a fine institution for hopeless cases.
St. Brutus's is the school that the Dursleys tell other visitors that Harry is attending. The full name for the institution is called St. Brutus's Secure Center for Incurably Criminal Boys. That's a long one.
What is it the boy's father did, Petunia?
Nothing. He didn't work. He was unemployed.
And a drunk too, no doubt.
That's a lie.
Harry can actually only deny the drunk part because his dad truly was unemployed. He got all of his gold from his father, and then he died at the age of 21, pretty much right out of school. Right when he got out of Hogwarts, he went into the fight against Voldemort by joining the Order of the Phoenix.
Vernon! Vernon, do something!
I like how Dudley barely looks away from the TV during this whole scene.
I've got you, Marge! I've got you!
Mentioned in the last video, but I like this outdoor patio porch area that was also there in the last film because it keeps that consistency going from one movie to the other. If you ever wondered what happened to Aunt Marge after these events, we're told in the books that she was punctured by the Accidental Magic Reversal Squad department in the Ministry of Magic. Her memory was also erased, as the minister says in this scene.
The Accidental Magic Reversal Department was dispatched immediately. She has been properly punctured and her memory modified.
Harry looks at the photo of his parents, a photo he got from his family portrait book that he has been reading for the last two movies. We already know about this. The outside of Privet Drive has changed once again. You can clearly see the difference if you look across the street. Another detail that I'm embarrassed for not catching before, but that little dot in the sky is Aunt Marge flying away. You can also kind of hear her in the scene as well. This park that Harry comes across is technically supposed to be the same local park that we see in the Order of the Phoenix movie. It obviously looks really different here, because in here it's more with the houses, whereas later in the films it's in the middle of some field, but it is the same parks technically in the books. It's never explained in these movies why the things in this park are moving, and it will never, because there's absolutely no reason for it and it doesn't make sense. This is Sirius Black in his dog Animagus form. He's here in Little Whinging because he just escaped Azkaban and wanted to see Harry. This This isn't explained in the film, but the night bus arrives because Harry sticks his wand in the air. If a wizard wants to call for the night bus, they must stick their wand out in the air like a muggle would call for a taxi.
Welcome to the night bus. Emergency transport for a stranded witch or wizard. My name is Stan Shunpike and I will be your conductor for this evening.
Meet Stan Shunpike. He is the conductor of the night bus. Something of note is that in Half-Blood Prince, he was arrested and sent to Azkaban because the Ministry thought he was a Death Eater. When the Azkaban mass breakout happened, he escaped, but he was put under the Imperious Curse, meaning he was being mind-controlled by the other Death Eaters.
Take her away, Ern.
Yeah, take it away, Ernie. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
The driver of the night bus is named Ernie Prang. He doesn't really have much to do in the series. But also, the shrunken head there is completely made up for the movies and is not in the books.
What did you say your name was again?
At the top of the screen, we see an ad for Pepper Imps. They're cinnamon candies that you can buy at Honeyduke's Sweet Shop in Hogsmeade, which is the shop we see later in this film.
Who is that?
Who is that? Who is... That is Sirius Black, that is. Don't tell me you've never been hearing of Sirius Black.
Sirius is doing a great job at looking innocent in this mugshot. Also, it's hard to believe that Harry has been living in the wizarding world for 2 full years, and he either doesn't know one of the most infamous prisoners to ever be in Azkaban, or all the information about his parents' death. You'd think once he found out the truth that he's a wizard, he'd do a little bit more research.
Ah, Mr. Potter. At last.
Everyone welcome back Tom the bartender. Quit staring, it's been a rough 2 years for him.
Take her away, Ern.
Yeah, take it away, Ernie.
The exterior of the Leaky Cauldron has officially changed and is now much flatter than what we saw previously. This man in the Leaky Cauldron is reading a book called The Brief History of Time. This is in reference to how there was time travel later in the movie.
Hedwig.
Right, smart bird you got there, Mr. Potter. You arrived here just 5 minutes before yourself.
Wait, so did Harry forget Hedwig back at Privet Drive? Poor bird.
As the Minister for Magic, it is my duty to inform you, Mr. Potter.
Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic, is back from the last movie. Again, he doesn't really have much of a role, but it is kind of funny that from Fudge's perspective, they've never actually met before, because last time they met, Harry was under the invisibility cloak in Hagrid's hut.
Pea soup.
No thank you.
Fudge offers Harry pea soup, but if you remember from earlier in the night bus, Ernie wisely told him not to drink that.
Hey, if you have the pea soup, make sure you eat it before it eats you.
So Harry declines.
And tomorrow you'll be on your way back to Hogwarts. Oh, by the way, Harry, whilst you're here, it would be best if you didn't wander.
In this film, this is set a day before Harry goes back to Hogwarts, so it's not a big deal to be told to stay put. But in the books, Harry stays at the Leaky Cauldron for 2 full weeks. In this time, he is allowed to visit Diagon Alley right outside the Leaky Cauldron, so he spends every day in the town, eating ice cream at Florian Fortescue's, getting help with homework, and admiring the new Firebolt broomstick that's inside quality Quidditch supplies. The Monsters Book of Monsters is the school book that Hagrid makes the students buy for his Care for Magical Creatures lessons. It's a bit of foreshadowing that he's a bad teacher, so bad that he made his students buy a book that can potentially eat them.
I'm warning you, Hermione. Keep that bloody beast of yours away from Scabbers, or I'll turn it into a tea cozy.
Ron mentions a tea cozy. Tea cozies are the outfits house elves wear in the wizarding world. Their actual use is to cover hot teapots with nice-looking patterns made of cloth.
That's rich, coming from the owner of that smelly old shoe brush. It's all right, Crookshanks. You just ignore the mean little boy.
Meet Hermione's cat, Crookshanks. If you read the books, you know that Crookshanks oddly has a more important role than what first meets the eye. Throughout the year, Crookshanks keeps trying to attack Scabbers. He detected that Scabbers is really a human, Peter Pettigrew, and tries to capture him. Another subplot was that Crookshanks was actively helping Sirius Black get into the castle. Crookshanks becomes friends with Sirius as he was in his dog form. The cat would go and see Sirius, steal the Gryffindor passwords to let him into the castle, and freeze the Whomping Willow. All of this to aid Sirius with anything he might need. So yeah, pretty important cat.
Coming from the owner of that smelly old shoe.
In the corner you can see Tom bartending.
Egypt. What's it like?
Brilliant. Loads of old stuff like mummies, tombs. Even Scabbers enjoyed himself.
The Weasleys get a once-in-a-lifetime lottery prize win, and right away they spend it on a family vacation. Yes, the family who's been poor and will continue to be extremely poor throughout the whole rest of the series. This trip to Egypt actually kicks off the whole events of the book. This trip was the reason Sirius escaped Azkaban and why Scabbers started acting strange. When Sirius was in Azkaban, he stole a newspaper, and on that newspaper he saw this exact article of the Weasley family in Egypt. He recognized Scabbers the rat as being Peter Pettigrew by his finger that is missing. This motivated Sirius to escape Azkaban and capture his former friend. Bill and Charlie Weasley are also in this family portrait. Charlie is never seen in the movies, but arrives multiple times in the books, specifically in the Goblet of Fire with that dragon task. Charlie works with dragons in Romania for most of the series.
My brother Charlie works with these in Romania.
The other member is Bill Weasley, who is recast in the Deathly Hallows movie. The whole Weasley family is hogging all the windows so that no other student can say bye to their family.
I didn't mean to blow her up. I lost control.
Who is this kid waving at? Because he's not even really facing the window anymore, and he waves for so long that everyone would have passed by anyway.
Who do you think that is?
Professor R.J. Lupin.
You know everything. How is it she knows everything?
It's on his suitcase, Ronald.
Hermione read that fast because look how long she looked at the name on the suitcase before she answered. You see her looking down, she sits, looks upwards, and the second she does, she says the name.
Think he's really asleep?
Seems to be. Why?
Y'all might hate me for this one, but in this movie, the cabins are on the right side of the train, and we can tell that by the direction it's going out the window. But in previous films, the cabins have been on the left side of the train. Look out this window when Ron and Harry first meet. The objects in the mirror are going from right to left, meaning if that's the way the train was facing, the cabins would be on the left. Just a little switch around. The Dementor uses the Force to open the door. They can't do that. The Dementors are boarding the train to check if Sirius Black is aboard. Something not thoroughly explained in the movies is called the Dementor's Kiss.
Any minute, the Dementors are going to perform the kiss.
You mean they're gonna kill him?
No, it's worse. Much worse. They're going to suck out his soul.
Being kissed by a Dementor means they suck the soul out of a human being. It's said that it's even worse than death.
It's said to be nearly unbearable to witness.
It's not confirmed if this Dementor was trying to kiss Harry, but seeing as this same wispy effect is being used at the end of the film when we know they're trying to suck the soul out of Harry and Sirius, I assume that's what this scene is going for. As mentioned before, here are the carriages that take the students up to Hogwarts. They are led by invisible horses called Thestrals. More on Thestrals in Order of the Phoenix. But while we're still on this scene, I think we see Seamus Finnegan in this window. And not a hard detail spot, but that sign reads Hogsmeade on the right and Hogwarts up ahead. This is the Hogwarts Frog Choir, which is original to the films. They're being conducted by Professor Flitwick, the Charms Professor, who is now de-aged from his first appearance. Listen and watch because the choir slowly becomes more out of sync as the time goes on. Listen as the choir doesn't match up with his hands.
Welcome, welcome.
We actually missed the sorting ceremony, but in the books, Harry also misses it. This marks twice in a row. This is because McGonagall pulls Harry and Hermione right away when they get to Hogwarts. First, to speak with Harry to get him checked by Madame Pomfrey, the school's nurse, because of the Dementor attack.
This is a time turner, Harry. McGonagall gave it to me first term.
She secondly speaks with Hermione to give her the time turner to use for her classes, which we don't find out to the very end of the film.
I'm pleased to welcome Professor R.J. Lupin. Good luck, Professor.
Sitting Lupin next to Snape at the staff table is pretty devious work given their past. I bet Dumbledore was behind it. That man's always up to something.
Words before we all become too befuddled by our excellent feast.
The house table order has moved around this movie. From the first movie, from left to right, looking at the staff table, it went Ravenclaw, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, and then Slytherin. This year, it's Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Gryffindor, and Hufflepuff.
Potter! Is it true you fainted?
Sitting next to Draco is Pansy Parkinson. She's recast multiple times throughout the films and plays a minor role in this one.
Professor Kevin,
Just forget it.
our care of magical creatures teacher for many years, has decided to retire in order to spend more time with his remaining limbs.
We hear Dumbledore talk about the retirement of the Care of Magical Creatures job. It belonged to Professor Sylvanus Kettleburn. He lost all of his limbs besides one arm and half a leg. The grand staircase is now even closer to the Great Hall. In the previous two films, you had to walk up the stairs and to the right. Now it's directly at the top of the stairs. You'll remember these scenes from the last movie. They're in the same spot. In the background, we see Sir Cadogan, a knight of the Round Table, as he walks through multiple paintings. He has a bigger role in the book, where, as a painting, he leads Ron and Harry to their first divination class. He also takes the spot of the Fat Lady's portrait after Sirius Black attacks her to get into Gryffindor Tower. We'll see that deleted scene later.
Fortuna Major.
The Gryffindor common room is now inside of the grand staircase, this large tower, from where it used to be in Gryffindor Tower over here. This is the only movie where it is shown to be in this location.
Do not give him one again. Hey, Neville, try an elephant.
As the boys are playing around in the dorm, the candy that makes the Gryffindor boys sound like animals is called Elephant on a Bicycle. It can be bought at Honeyduke Sweet Shop. I'll add in the dorm, we see Dean holding a comic paper that at the top reads what looks to be Looney Nambi versus Cornish Pixies. This is the same exact paper Harry had up on his wall in his bedroom earlier, as well as on his desk. Either he brought it to school with him, or Dean just happens to have the same one. Also in this scene, I see a part of a banner that at the end reads D-L-E-Y, and since this is Ron's bed, I'm assuming that's a Chudley Cannons poster, his favorite Quidditch team. It would be the end of Chudley. It also matches the color. The other banner I see is this blue one. At first I thought it could be a British Quidditch team, since it's blue, which led me to 3 teams, the Appleby Arrows, Puddlemere United, and Tutshell Tornadoes. But then I realized that this is probably Dean's bed because he's looking pretty comfortable on it, and since Dean supports Muggle sports, I leaned more towards football and soccer. In the books, we know his favorite team is West Ham United. Right away, the colors and logo didn't seem quite right. I kept scouring and found their logo from the year 2004, the same year this movie came out. Next, I saw this logo with the castle and the text underneath. Comparing this with the flag, you can see the blurry outline of the castle, and the text West Ham United correctly spaced underneath. The colors are also correct, meaning this is the correct team. We follow a bird as it flies through the new areas of Hogwarts. This right here is the clock tower. It's added on here behind the quad. It's connected to the quad by the hospital wing at the top. The clock tower then has its own courtyard with the long wooden bridge attached. The wooden bridge is a movie exclusive thing, which was kind of disappointing when I first read the books because it feels so iconic. At the end of the bridge, there's this Stonehenge looking area, and then from there down the hill is Hagrid's hut. The hut has moved from the previous 2 films. Before, it was closer to the greenhouses and the training grounds, but now it's on the complete opposite side, behind the whole castle.
I am Professor Trelawney. Together we shall cast ourselves into the future.
We finally get to meet Professor Trelawney, the divination teacher. I'll add that the divination classroom is at the top of this corner tower of the quad. To get to the classroom, students would have to climb up a ladder. Students and staff often thought Trelawney was a fraud and didn't know how to predict the future. But Dumbledore hired her because she was the one to make the prophecy about Harry and Voldemort, and Dumbledore wanted to keep her close and around just in case.
Is your grandmother quite well?
I think so.
I wouldn't be so sure of that.
On the right are early versions. Feels weird to be calling people versions. Whatever. On the right is Parvati Patil and Lavender Brown, who are recasts in the later films. They're the other 2 Gryffindor girls that we know about that are in the Golden Trio's year. I mentioned it in the first video, but Lavender dates Ron and Parvati goes to the Yule Ball with Harry.
Taking the form of a giant spectral dog. It's among the darkest omens in our world. It's an omen of death.
Can we pause and just take a second to appreciate the glorious Bem? Thank you. Bem is a character in this film that went viral for his very few bits of dialogue that are also very serious. He is a Gryffindor boy, presumably in the same year as Harry and Ron, since he's in the 3rd year Divination class. But that wouldn't really make sense because there's only supposed to be 5 boys in Gryffindor in their year, and so him being there doesn't make sense. Bem actually shows up in some of the later films too, but I won't show you that till the time comes. Another joke with him is since he's such a minor character, in the credits he's actually given the name Bem. Again, I don't know where it all comes from.
Now, ancient runes. That's a fascinating subject.
Ancient runes? Exactly how many classes are you taking this to?
Hermione is taking ancient runes. This class, along with Muggle Studies, Alchemy, and Arithmancy, are the classes that Harry never takes, so we don't really ever know much more about them.
I think they're funny.
Oh yeah, terribly funny.
It's kind of like the main plot of the movie that Hermione has this time turner, and some people already know about this detail, but just to remind you, throughout the whole movie pretty much, you can see her wearing the necklace, and sometimes she's hiding it, and so again, she's always holding it. It's kind of like that little bit of foreshadowing. In this scene, however, she's just letting it hang out right.
Say hello to Buckbeak.
Buckbeak is a hippogriff. They're half horse, half eagle. In the lesson in the books, there's actually a lot of hippogriffs in this lesson and not just one. Harry flying over Hogwarts gives me the perfect opportunity to give you guys some more castle insight. We now have this little bit of water stream behind the training grounds area. Technically, we should be able to see the Quidditch pitch at the top of the screen here, but I'll let it slide because you could also argue that it could be a little bit farther back and it wouldn't be in frame. They also glide straight through the bell towers. The last thing I'll add about this flight is that in the books, Harry actually doesn't enjoy this flight at all. I'm glad they made this switch for the movies because, to be honest, it just looks so much fun.
How am I doing my first day?
Brilliant, Professor.
Hagrid's size in this shot looks very disproportionate. Maybe should have spent an extra day in the editing room.
Whoa! Buckbeak?
While all the other kids go and run behind the wall, my boy Bem stands strong and stands in the back by himself. You know what? Let's start a Bem counter throughout all the movies. This is number 2. The statue of the Hogwarts architect that we saw in the last film is now gone outside the Great Hall. It would be right here.
It's like trying to catch smoke. Like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands.
Sorry, I just wanted to appreciate Bem again. Number 3. The first lines of the newspaper talk about how a Muggle spotted Sirius and called in. The Muggles know about Sirius Black because the Minister of Magic made sure to inform the British government that one of their worst murderers escaped from their prison. Once they heard, they put it on the Muggle news that he is just a normal killer who escaped prison, but not that he's a wizard. In the books, while at the Dursleys, you can actually hear it on their Muggle television news. This angle of Hogwarts completely gets rid of the new clock tower area that we saw earlier. Compare this shot with this other shot, it's completely gone. Bem sighting number 4.
And I believe you live with your grandmother.
Yes, but I don't want that boggart to turn into her either.
Neville's grandmother was mentioned in the first movie when we see the scene with him and the Remember-All. In the later books, we find out that Neville lives with his grandma because his parents were tortured to the point of insanity by Bellatrix Lestrange, which is why she was sent to Azkaban. More on that later, of course.
3.
There's a face on the handle of this cabinet with the boggart inside. Not sure what it's supposed to be, but I did notice it.
And turn it into something funny. Next!
To my knowledge, this means nothing in the greater Harry Potter universe, but on Lupin's gramophone, it reads C. Gilbert & Co., a brand that's probably just in the wizarding world. In the jumbled mess of the boggart, it looks like we quickly see a raven and a lizard. There's also a second of gold, which I'm not sure what's that referring to.
Wand at the ready, Ron. Wand at the ready.
Ridiculous.
Ron's boggart and his worst fear is spiders. This goes back to the last movie when he was deathly afraid of spiders when going into the Forbidden Forest.
Wait, spiders? Why couldn't it be follow the butterflies?
If anything, this giant spider could be depicting Aragog, who they met last film.
Very enjoyable. Parvati! Next!
Parvati is back, but this time with her own cameo. Lupin says her name outright as her Boggart turns into a snake. Speaking of Boggarts, in the books, it showed a lot more of the students' Boggarts, so I'll quickly tell you about that now. Dean Thomas's was a disembodied living hand cut off from the body. Hermione's was McGonagall telling her that she failed all of her exams. Padma Patil, who is Parvati's twin sister, was the one who actually had the snake as her Boggart, not the other twin. Parvati's, which we saw was a snake, in the books was a mummy. And last is Seamus, who had a banshee, which is a dark creature that takes the form of a woman.
Next! Step up, step up.
Where does Lupin get this apple from? It just randomly appears in his hand from one scene to the other.
Now, remember, these visits to Hogsmeade Village are a privilege.
I could be wrong, but I think this is Lavender, Parvati, and Padma all running into this scene. I could be mistaken, so take that with a grain of salt. Also, they are back in the clock tower courtyard once again.
That privilege shall not be extended again.
Looking at this group of crowded kids, we can see the Slytherin boys all together, towering over the other students. It's odd that they're all there, besides Malfoy.
But Professor, I thought if you signed it, then I could go.
I can't. Only a parent or a guardian can sign. Since I am neither, it would be inappropriate.
McGonagall's being devious right now. She knows that Harry's parents are dead and know how bad the Dursleys are. Heck, she was the one who dropped Harry off when he was a kid and literally said the line,
I've watched them all day. They're the worst sort of muggles imaginable.
Your father, James, on the other hand, he had a certain, shall we say, talent for trouble. A talent, rumor has it, he passed on to you.
The difference between James and Harry is that James bullied kids in school. They even often compared how James acted to how Draco acts. Not a great compliment to be compared to Draco.
Let me through, please. Excuse me, I'm head boy.
In this scene, we see Harry holding a circular ball in his hand. This is because they deleted a previous scene. Listen to this.
I got you something wicked at Dervish and Bangs. It's a pocket sneaker scope.
Ron buys Harry a pocket sneakoscope from Dervish and Bangs, another Hogsmeade shop.
If there's anyone untrustworthy around, it's meant to light up and spin.
As said, sneakoscopes detect when untrustworthy people are around. It goes off multiple times throughout the year in the books because Scabbers is always near, but they think it's malfunctioning. Also in this scene, Percy Weasley mentions that he's head boy. Head boy is a step above a prefect. Only one boy and one girl for each house gets to be the head of that year. Typically, it's awarded to someone in their 7th year. Them spotted near the Gryffindor painting?
I've searched the astronomy tower and the owlery, sir, but there's nothing there.
Filch mentions that he checks the owlery. That's funny because in this version of Hogwarts, the owlery doesn't exist. It would be around here, which we see in the next film, but it's not there right now, meaning Filch hasn't checked anything.
Completely undetected.
Quite remarkable, yeah.
Any theories on how he might have managed it?
Many, each as unlikely as the next.
He got into the castle by transforming into his Animagus form of a black dog and sneaking in through the hidden passageways of Hogwarts.
What about Potter? Should he be warned?
Perhaps, but for now, let him sleep.
This is laughably stupid. They're talking in their normal voices, maybe even louder, in the Great Hall. There's not a chance that a single one of those students is asleep right now.
Who dares challenge Sarkadagan?
But he keeps changing the password. That's twice on it this morning. I've taken to keeping a list.
In this deleted scene, we get a full conversation with the new Gryffindor painting, Sir Cadogan. Neville mentions that he started writing down all the passwords because Cadogan keeps changing them. This will come back in a later deleted scene.
Certainly, good lady. He had the password on a little piece of paper.
Is it always going to be you, Longbottom?
It's McGonagall getting really mad because Sirius breaks into Gryffindor Tower because someone wrote down all the passwords and lost them, which is obviously Neville. Sirius gets those passwords because Crookshanks, Hermione's cat, steals these passwords to help Sirius get in. Hopefully that made sense. Bem is sitting next to Ron.
An animagus is a wizard who elects to turn into an animal. A werewolf has no choice.
I'll take this as my opportunity to talk about Animagus. Animagus are humans who have the ability to turn into animals. Take, for example, McGonagall, which we've seen in the previous films, being able to transform into a cat. She is an Animagus. Typically, wizards are born with this ability, but there is a way for them to become one. The first step to this long process is to keep a mandrake leaf under your tongue for an entire month. Next, At the next visible full moon, they have to spit out their leaf into a vial and have it come in contact with the moon's rays. After that, they'd have to wait for an electrical storm, and every day before that storm comes, they'd have to cite an incantation, placing their wand over their hearts. The last step was, during the storm, they'd have to take out their vial, cite the spell one last time, and drink the Animagus potion. After all of this long, grueling process, they'd finally gain the ability. I mention this because 3 very prominent characters go through this transformation, which I'll explain in a few minutes. This Hufflepuff Quidditch Seeker is actually supposed to be Cedric Diggory. In Harry's 3rd year, they play a match against Hufflepuff in which Cedric is the other team's Seeker. This also isn't how it all works out in the books. In the books, Harry doesn't see a giant dog in the clouds, and instead he sees a dog in the Quidditch stand, which is Sirius watching Harry play Quidditch. Dementors still swarm him during the match, and he ends up falling off of his broom, and because of that, Cedric is able to catch the snitch. He is not electrocuted like we see in the movie. This is actually one of the few games of Quidditch that Harry loses.
Yeah, come on, Ron. Let's walk you off the astronomy tower and see what you look like.
Funny thing is that Dumbledore does this 3 films from now. Oddly, the Half-Blood Prince book came out a year after this movie came out, so this line must have just been like a coincidence.
Oh, brilliant. You gave us a right good scare there, mate.
It seems as if Cedric is being treated in the back of the hospital wing.
When you fell, your broom, it sort of blew into the Whomping Willow and... well...
Harry's broom flew into the Whomping Willow. Pull up the map. Here's the Quidditch pitch. Here's the Whomping Willow. Let's stop lying to ourselves because there's no way I could have flown that far. Harry's up against the glass in the clock tower, but later in the film, we see that it would be almost impossible to get to this area because of all the gears working behind it.
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Messrs. Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot and Prongs are proud to present the Marauder's map.
Here is the biggest fumble in the whole entire Harry Potter film series. Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs. At this point, I feel as if this detail is too well known, but these 4 names are the names of Lupin, Peter Pettigrew, Sirius, and James in that order. These were nicknames they gave each other based off their Animagus forms. Yes, these are the 4 people I was talking about when talking about Animagus. As we see in the films, Lupin is a werewolf by blood, meaning he's not an Animagus. Peter can turn into a rat. Sirius is a dog. Not seen is that James can become a stag too. The story goes that in their Hogwarts days, the friends knew Lupin had to go off alone whenever there was a full moon. To support their friend, the other 3 decided to become Animagus as well, to hang out with Lupin when he transformed. The boys spent months becoming Animagus and did it illegally. This is why no one actually knows that they can transform. The 4 made up what was known as the Marauders. One of the craziest details that they seem to leave out from the films. Little annoying too, because it would have only taken like a minute or 2 to describe this major plot point of this book.
Hang on. This is Hogwarts.
We might get a little deep with this Marauders map. The first image we see is of this massive Hogwarts area with 2 circular towers at the top. The top right one, we see a few circles coming off of it, indicating to me that this is the grand staircase and the headmaster's office. I'll overlay them here so you can see what I mean. Comparing that with this overhead view we get of Hogwarts, they pretty much match up, so these 2 towers are these, and then that little outside area is this thing I'm marking on this map.
There are 7 secret passageways out of the castle. We'd recommend this one.
The one-eyed witch passageway. It'll lead you straight to Honeyduke's cellar.
The Weasley twins mentioned that there are 7 secret passageways outside of Hogwarts. The Harry Potter wiki lists these as the 7, quickly. Number 1, passage behind the one-eyed witch statue. I'm pretty sure that this is the same statue that we see in this first film. I'll get to it in a second, but it moves. This leads Harry to Honeyduke's. Number 2, a passage behind a mirror on the 4th floor. Sirius later mentioned that it's large, but in 1992, the cave collapsed in around it. Number 3, the passage beneath the Whomping Willow, which we'll be seeing later. Number 4, a passage beneath a statue of Gregory the Smarmy. Fred and George say they found this passage in their first week of school. Number 5, and these last 3 are less canon, but it was said that there was one in the castle in a well that led to Hogsmeade. Number 6, it says there's one under a rug near a fire crab shell. And lastly, number 7, there's a secret passage down a toilet. Harry arrives in Hogsmeade in the basement of Honeyduke's sweet shop. The woman at the counter right away is named Mrs. Flume. She is the wife of the owner, Ambrosius Flume, who is in the back at the other counter. Of course, there's a lot of candies here, but there's a massive glass container of Bertie Bott's every flavor bean in the back behind the counter. Based off this hectic interior and the color of the paint on the outside of the building, I'm assuming the building across the street that we see is supposed to be Zonko's Joke Shop, another very prominent shop in Hogsmeade.
Honeyduke Sweet Shop is brilliant, but nothing beats Zonko's Joke Shop.
We see many students here, including Ben.
Boys, I think it's time we teach Weaselby how to respect his superiors.
I forgot to mention this earlier, but the Slytherin boy seen here is named Pike. The credits name him as Slytherin Boy, but in the script it's Pike. He is a substitute for the actor who plays Goyle because he had an injury at the time of filming. He is also only in this film.
Those weasels. Never told me about any marauders, Matt.
I feel like I'm letting y'all down here because I can't make out the words on the side of this building. I can easily read store, and to me the top word looks like it spells out D-R-E-A-Y-S, and there's a K in the second word somewhere, but no Hogsmeade building is called anything related to this.
Aren't you?
Oh, sure. Along with his invisibility cloak.
But on the other side, if I up the exposure a ton, we can read the word Zonkos on the sign near the trio. In this same shot, on the left, there's a sign for Rosa Lee's Tea Bag. This is a shop that for some reason says it's only ever in the Lego movies, but pretty clearly it shows the shop right here. Of course it's a little blurry, but you can definitely make out the R and the L, and the word teabag, so I'm not really sure.
Ron fancies her.
That's not true.
I'm looking at the owl sign in this background, and I can't make out the text, but if I had a guess, this could be the Hogsmeade post office where owls fly in and out.
And the post office. It's about 200 owls sitting on colour-coded shelves, depending on how fast you want your letter to go.
And what would bring him here?
Remember in the last movie, in Diagon Alley, when I was talking about the Tricks and Tolls sign? I think that the sign on the left reads Tricks and Tolls. Well, look back at this scene. Clearly, it's the same sign in the background, and also I'm stupid, it says Tricks and Jokes on the sign. Scratch that from the last video.
I say, no underage wizards allowed in today. Shut the damn door!
So rude.
For some reason, there's even more shrunken heads in the Leaky Cauldron, similar to the ones we saw in the night bus. Also, why can't Hermione and Ron come in? There's never an age limit on the restaurant.
What are they calling young whippersnappers?
In the books, all three are sitting in the restaurant and Harry goes under the table so that they can overhear this conversation. Primarily seen in The Half-Blood Prince, but they come here in almost every book.
You know, this is very advanced magic, well beyond the ordinary wizarding level.
To movie fans, this line means nothing, but Lupin is talking about what is abbreviated to OWLs, also known as owls, ordinary wizarding levels. Owls are end-of-year exams taken in the 5th year. These tests are massively important and usually take up a lot of the student's time to study for. You must get a high score on these tests to take certain classes in your 6th year. It's kind of what Harry's talking about at the beginning of Half-Blood Prince when he's talking to McGonagall.
It was, but I was told I had to get an outstanding in my OWL.
So you did.
So Lupin saying that casting a Patronus is well beyond that level means it's even harder than some of the hardest tests.
For today.
Yes, sit down. Here. Eat this, it helps.
The room they are in right now is the same set they use for the headmaster's office. In the books it happens in Lupin's office, but in the script it actually says the location is the astronomy tower. It doesn't really matter all that much, though I will say that they've got planetary models and other spacey stuff here, so they're pretty much going for the astronomy tower.
Wand is ready.
Harry has his wand in his pocket, which, if you talk to Mad-Eye Moody, he'd say that's how you lose a buttocks. This island in the water is the same island Lupin and Harry were looking at earlier in the film. The real-life island is called, and I'm gonna butcher this, Eileen Namoyne. These days, a few of the trees have fallen over, but you still get the picture.
What? Spiders, they want me to tap dance. I don't want to tap dance.
You tell those spiders, Ron.
It kinda looks like Harry's got a remember roll on his desk next to the photo of his parents. This is the same orb-looking thing that Neville had in the first film. On the Marauders map, we see the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, which clearly doesn't make sense because the classroom isn't a square shaped. Also, the History of Magic classroom is on there too. I've talked enough about the History of Magic classroom, watch the last videos. We also see a room for lost wands, presumably where you'd pick yours up if you can't find it. Next is Advanced Arithmancy Studies, which is one of the classrooms I was mentioning earlier that we never see because Harry doesn't take the subject. Slightly cut off is the Charms classroom at the top. The same HP initialed crate that is under Harry's bed was also there in the deleted scene of the last film.
Put that light out!
Sorry.
Once Harry's in the dark corridor, two more things are on the map, such as the Room of Doom and the Room of Mischief.
Your soul as dry as the pages of the books to which you so desperately cleave.
Bem is lurking in between the shoulders of Hermione and Trelawney.
She's gone mental, Hermione has.
I've never seen anyone mention this, but look at the statue at the bottom of the staircase. That's actually the statue of the one-eyed witch, Gunhilda de Gorsmore. If you look at the script, they cut the scene of Harry finding the statue and opening it, which would have came before the Hogsmeade visit. The scene says it takes place in the Divination corridor, which is the corridor seen at the bottom of these steps. Again, knowing this information, this is definitely the statue. You get a better view of it in this shot. So again, it sounds like they were going to film this and they built it, but then it got deleted or they didn't film it and they scrapped it. This guy sharpening his axe is a character named Walden McNair. You may recognize the name from this scene. If you believe me, he is one of the main Death Eaters throughout the series. He was there for when Voldemort was resurrected, and he was also there for the Battle of the Department of Mysteries where he's the guy holding Luna Lovegood, and after this battle he is sent to Azkaban. And then when there's a mass breakout of Azkaban, he fought in the Battle of Hogwarts. As a Death Eater, of course. I know I'm not the first person to tell you this, but you can see Hermione's future hand disappear from behind the wall in this scene.
We'll stay with you too, Hagrid.
I'm sorry, what the heck is that creature? Not even gonna guess. On the jar that gets broken in Hagrid's hut, it reads Staghorn. This is a type of mushroom that was shown to have healing properties.
It's nearly dark. You shouldn't be here. Someone sees you outside the castle this time of night, you'll be in trouble. Big trouble, particularly you, Harry.
Who are we fooling? It's not dark outside at all. Just let him leave. This secret passageway that Ron gets dragged into, as well as the passageway they walk through, is one of the 7 passageways which I was talking about earlier. Now is the perfect time to talk about the Whomping Willow and the lore behind it. So, we already know that there's a tunnel underneath it, which leads to the Shrieking Shack. As mentioned before, the Marauders, James and his crew, all became Animagus to hang out with Lupin while he is in werewolf form. To keep students safe, Dumbledore decided that the best place to leave Lupin during these full moons was the Shrieking Shack, though at the time it wasn't called that.
It's meant to be the most haunted building in Britain. Did I mention that?
It got its name because residents often heard loud screaming coming from the shack and believed it was haunted. Those screams were Lupin turning into a werewolf. So it got its name because of this exact group, Lupin, Sirius, Peter, and James. They then planted the Whomping Willow to guard the entrance to this secret tunnel so that no student would follow Lupin and then be at risk. It was referenced last movie by Snape when he said,
"Not to mention the damage you inflicted on a Whomping Willow that's been on these grounds since before you were born."
If you want to kill Harry, you'll have to kill us too.
No, only one would die tonight.
Like, what innocent man speaks like this? Standing in a corner all menacingly when you're like 100% innocent?
Are you going to kill me, Harry? Well, Hermione, you really are the brightest witch of your age I've ever met.
Enough talk, Remus!
Even Lupin isn't acting like himself. This scene would have been so much better if on rewatch you could have watched it from their perspective, but the fact is that they're clearly just trying to act evil.
Please.
More wands in pockets.
Expelliarmus!
Once again, Expelliarmus isn't acting right. This time though, I know why they did it. In the books, all 3 of the Golden Trio, Ron, Hermione, and Harry, cast Expelliarmus at Snape at the exact same time, which makes it so the spell is so powerful that it flings him backwards, knocking him unconscious. So the scene isn't completely wrong, at least.
You're a rat! Scabbers has been in my family for 12 years! Curiously long life for a common garden rat!
Yes, Scabbers is the Weasley's family's rat. He first belonged to Percy in his young Hogwarts days and was passed down to Ron.
Well, he was a rat. He was my brother Percy's rat.
Typically, rats live to only be about 2 or 3 years old.
I thought I'm serious. What would you have done? What would you have done?
I would have died! I would have died rather than betray my friends!
Funny that Sirius says this because he was the original Secret Keeper. Secret Keepers in the wizarding world are people who know the location of a secret residence. Being a Secret Keeper means you're the only person who can tell others where a location is. Without that, it's impossible to find. This means that it is impossible for Lily and James to be found at their home unless Sirius goes out of his way to tell someone else. I know it's weird, but it gets even more complicated. Sirius was the original Secret Keeper, but he made Peter Pettigrew the new Secret Keeper. Sirius did this so that potentially Voldemort would be thrown off the trail and not know who has it. It is interesting that Sirius says this line though, because if he says that he would have been willing to die, then that means there was no reason at all for him to make someone else the Keeper, because if anything, he would be the best person to have that knowledge. Again, if you're the Secret Keeper, you're the only one who can share it. So if Sirius is willing to die rather than share that information, then he's the perfect person to have be the Secret Keeper.
Oh, Dad would spare me. He was showing me mercy!
Do we really think he would spare Peter? Imagine one of your best friends betrays you and sells your 1-year-old child to be murdered. Thus, this gets you and your wife killed at the age of 21. I'm not sure how forgiving I'd be.
That looks really painful.
So painful. They might chop it.
In the book, Sirius accidentally breaks Ron's leg as he's being dragged under the Whomping Willow.
Expelliarmus!
Why was Peter pointing the wand at his head? It's not like he needed it to transform, because he does it seconds later without it.
There you are, Potter.
Snape's the real MVP because not once, but twice, he puts the trio behind him to protect them. I love this depiction that this movie gives for when Sirius is getting his soul sucked out. The animal you see there is a stag, the animal James can transform into. It is also the animal of his Patronus. There are actually 2 types of Patronuses, incorporeal and corporeal. What we see earlier is incorporeal, which is like mist, whereas corporeal summons a creature. The corporeal version is much harder to cast, which makes Harry's Patronus that much more impressive.
Sirius Black is in the topmost cell of the Dark Tower.
Cutting ahead real quick, this is what the Dark Tower looks like. And the question is that why do they have a spire that just has like a prison chamber jail on top of it? In the books, they were just holding Sirius in the charms classroom, so this doesn't translate.
Good luck.
Alright, let's do it all over again.
Sorry, Ron, but seeing as you can't walk.
Hermione's like, sorry Ron, but you got your spotlight last movie, it's my time to shine. Some things of interest in this time lapse are that Harry was awake while being laid down in bed. Also, Hermione gets her hand checked out, and while Ron is being worked on, Snape was watching over him. Pretty nice of him. There's also this cat that never moves throughout the whole sequence. This is a long shot. They're running through this bridge, into the clock tower, and downwards. I'll add that they must get down those stairs within seconds, and the CGI of the 2 running looks pretty bad when focused on. The 2 run past McNair again, which should be breaking wizarding law.
You know the laws, Miss Granger. You must not be seen.
If McNair had a brain, he'd piece together that these 2 had just walked by him no more than a minute ago, and he's now seeing him again. Hermione's like fully standing up when throwing these stones. Surprised she isn't seen.
Beyond the rock.
Why didn't I first to see?
Professor Dibbit had that ling planted when he was headmaster.
Another mention of Professor Dippet. That makes 2 movies in a row. I'll also add that Dumbledore wouldn't know that Hermione and Harry are traveling in time at this moment because he doesn't know anything about the events that will happen later in the night, which then makes it weird that he's distracting the minister this whole time.
Find no small glasses in this house.
I like that both in this new shot and old shot, Dumbledore and Hagrid are nowhere to be seen because in this moment, they're in Hagrid's hut because there's nothing to worry about.
Look, it's Lupin.
Lupin casts Immobilis on the Whomping Willow to make it stay still. But in the books, there's a certain root that if touched makes the tree freeze. So it's not supposed to be a spell, but it's like touching a root.
You see Sirius talking to me there?
Mm-hmm.
He's asking me to come and live with him.
That's great.
The framing of this shot makes no sense when it's being compared to the original. If we take a look at the original, Sirius and Harry's backs are practically facing the tree and Ron behind them. But if we look at this new scene, their backs are facing us, the camera, and the tree is on the far right. So again, comparing the two, it doesn't fit.
Expecto Patronum!
Harry will be glazed beyond belief after this moment for casting this Patronus. Hermione is standing in the back as Harry unleashes his Patronus, but when we were in the past, we couldn't see Hermione behind Harry, so she should be behind him in this scene. Not trying to keep harping on their framing problem, but the Whomping Willow popped back up and I can't get past it. I won't even say any words. I'll just put these 2 images up side by side and you can tell me what's wrong with them.
Mischief managed.
Blink and you'll miss it, but the map is still laid out at that same dark corridor where Harry got caught in prior. You can see the corridor and the Room of Doom on it still.
Talking about it. Quiet. Let the man through.
If you look in the back at the House Point hourglasses, Gryffindor is winning the cup this year based on how many points they have over everyone else. In the books, that's actually correct, and they win this cup for the 3rd year in a row.
Oh, I didn't mean to open it, Harry. It was badly wrapped.
Final bem of the movie, which brings us to a total of 9 sightings.
It's a firebolt. It's the fastest broom in the world. For me.
Oh look, it's the Firebolt broomstick. They introduced this broomstick with no setup. New broom arrived just in time to not use it for next year because of the Triwizard Tournament. The Firebolt was given to Harry by Sirius, of course, but in the books, he's given this broom for Christmas by Sirius. It's also more of a surprise and mystery throughout the book who gave Harry this broom, but we'll just end the movie on it. Let's take a brief look at the credits. On the Marauders map, we see the History of Magic Classroom, which we touched on a little bit in the previous 2 videos. This looks like some courtyard area, potentially the quad, but I'm not really sure. We see Lost Wands once again, Charms Classroom was on the right, some place called Cauldron Cupboard, Stink Bomb Store, Owlry, Grindylow Lagoon, which may be a reference to Lupin since in the books he has a Grindylow in his office. Lastly, it says Book of Monsters Repair Shop, which I bet is some sort of joke. Just before we end this breakdown, I want to pull up the map once again. From this, I'm going to throw up some circles and stuff. This right here is everywhere we visited in this movie. Once you start looking at it from this perspective, we really only spend time on one side of Hogwarts, strangely, which is just this like new area clock tower-esque bit. Just interesting to point out. And we're done. We got another movie down. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We really got to dive deep into some more Harry Potter lore, my favorite. As always, I would love for you to comment which detail was your favorite throughout this breakdown. Go back and check out my other 2 breakdowns if you haven't seen that yet, or the TikToks, or the Instagrams, or the YouTube Shorts. With all that out of the way, I've been the Wizard Project. Thanks for watching. I wonder what clip I can use for the end credits scene this time.